And what is going on, everybody? Welcome back into the AFC South Roundtable here, powered by BetUS. And guys, BetUS has a bunch of awesome stuff over there for you guys, especially Super Bowl odds, guys. I mean, the Kansas City Chiefs are 1-point favorites. Are the Eagles a more talented team? Where do you guys feel on that? Look, BetUS has that, as well as all these different other Super Bowl prop bets. They got the whole coin toss, Gatorade color, probably a bunch of Taylor Swift stuff on there. So yeah, go check out BetUS for a 150% deposit bonus. And we thank them for being out here and powering the AFC South Roundtable here on Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern time. But we'll go ahead and bring in the crew. I guess the first guy we'll bring in the AFC South champions. We got Houston from 713 Houston Sports. What up, bro?
What's going on, man? What's going on? I missed you guys. I'm happy to be back.
Sweet, man. Sweet. And coming in as your second place AFC South champions, we have Derek Larger from the Bring the Deuce podcast. What up, Derek?
What's going on, man? I missed you guys, man. It feels like forever since we've been on one of these. Glad to finally be able to talk to y'all again. Let's get it.
Hey, I'm just happy we're back here and not having to talk about another Jaguars loss in embarrassing fashion. Okay, we're turning the tide. We're moving forward, and we're getting some different coaches, GMs, everything in here. It's a nice little refresh. I know you'd probably like that, Derek, but you're not getting it this season. Okay, not this offseason. We'll go ahead and bring in Michael Bishop from the Titan Upload Network. What up, Michael?
Guys, it's been a while. It's good seeing you. Dalton, you were just so down the last time we were together, and there's just some color in your cheeks. I can see that some things have been moving, so it's nice to see that smile once again.
I mean, there's something about what's going on down here in Duval, So yeah, there's something in the water down here, man. We're all excited. Shout out to Eric, channel member for 3 months. I think he's one of our only channel members. So shout out to him. Says one of my favorite channels, Duval. Where are we at? We should start having some more representation now that the Jaguars have done a lot of stuff, man. I mean, I think the last time we were on this roundtable, the Jaguars still had Trent Baalke. We were out here. It was looking like we were going to sit here and line up Robert Saleh with Trent Baalke, and we're all going to try to make something out of that. But, I guess we can start with the Jaguars, man. A lot of fun things happening over here. So in case you guys need a recap, because I know there's a lot of people that may not be paying super close attention here. So on Black Monday, essentially Jaguars fans and even media, a bunch of people were expecting a clean house over there for the Jaguars. New head coach, new GM, but we were alerted that Doug Peterson has been fired, but Trent Baalke is here to stay. So we were like, what the heck? We are not going to be getting anybody for the Jaguars head coaching spot. So it was reported that the top two guys on the Jaguars list were Ben Johnson and Liam Cohen. And then obviously Ben Johnson signed over there to, the Bears. So a bunch of us were kind of expecting, all right, it's Liam Cohen now. Liam Cohen is going to be the head coach. He's going to be here. And then all of a sudden it got reported that Liam Cohen is withdrawing his name from the Jaguars head coach search. So we were sitting here scrambling like, what the heck are we going to do? This is not good. And then the Jaguars, from there, about an hour or two later, fired Trent Baalke. I was shocked to see it because nothing could ever happen to that man. That man was inevitable. He was never going to get fired no matter what. But Shad Khan decided, hey, I would rather have a good head coach than whatever Trent Baalke is. So Trent Baalke is gone. And then it got reported, later on that Liam Cohen is accepting the Jaguars head coach job. So that's really exciting. Yesterday, it actually got officially announced that the Jaguars, that Hall of Fame left tackle and the first ever draft pick from the Jacksonville Jaguars, Tony Boselli, is the executive vice president of football operations. So that's really exciting. And then, yesterday, a whole bunch of names came out about different general managers that the Jaguars are going to sign, or going to interview, I should say. So it's a lot of fun stuff going on. And I think at the end of the day, we all want, when things are going bad, you want a clean slate. So right now we're kind of looking at things, okay, things are good, things are fine. We're not sitting here in desperate mode, because I was really depressed because I was going to be like, I am not going to be able to talk any more shit on the AFC South Roundtable because ain't no way this stuff is getting turned around. But the Jaguars actually did something, and it's pretty exciting. I definitely want to get your thoughts on it. How about we'll start with Ruben, man? I guess when it comes to all the Jaguars offseason moves, what are some of your thoughts?
I think you guys got a a bright offensive mind, and poor Tampa Bay, man, their OCs are getting plugged every single year. But that's what happens when you have a successful offense. You hope that it translates to Jacksonville. He has the quarterback, Trevor Lawrence. He has a legit number one wide receiver in Brian Thomas Jr. is a damn good receiving tight end, and Evan Ingram. Plus you got the, your version of our Jack East to be fired, man. I bet you put something on the grill. I know I put something on the grill when my, former OC Bobby Slowick got fired. But shout out to Jacksonville, man. They took some step forwards in their organization. You guys have all the right to be excited.
So, Derek, want to get your thoughts about really what the Jaguars have been doing, this offseason, especially just with the whole craziness of the month of January.
Well, it was amazing to see the situation that went down in Jacksonville. Basically, the executives of Jacksonville, outside of the GM, obviously, said that, hey, it was more important to get Liam Cohen in here than to retain our GM, which is basically exactly what happened here. If the GM was going to be the reason behind you guys not getting the coach that you felt was necessary to be able to elevate this team back to the playoff contention, then they were saying, okay, fine, we're going to get rid of the GM because he wasn't doing his job anyway. We're giving him the benefit of the doubt, but if giving him the benefit of the doubt means we're going to miss out on what we want as a coach, then, that's what it is. And, obviously Jacksonville has had a bad string of bad coaches over the last several years. And, they are finally looking for, just that one guy that's going to solidify it while you have your franchise quarterback here in the building already. So, yeah, I mean, it was definitely crazy to see that, I was messaging you a lot in our group chat, being like, "Ooh, Cohen might come here. Ooh, looks like he's not. Ooh, looks like he's actually coming." It was funny to see your reaction to all of that as well, Dalton. So I'm glad that the Jaguars were able to give me some kind of enjoyment at just how crazy that situation was for you.
Yeah, it would have been a lot more fun if my YouTube channel hadn't been deleted during that time, but it's all good. I got it back. I got it back.
That sucks, dude.
It was of all 48-hour periods to be shut down, I got shut down in the middle of a Trent Baalke being fired stream. We hired a head coach, all without a channel. So luckily, I rebounded with the AFC South Roundtable. I went live on here and spoke about it. I need to go somewhere, right? I need to go somewhere and air all out. And the AFC South Roundtable has my back. Mike, love to hear your thoughts on the situation.
Well, I mean, it only took just missing out on just about all the good head coaches in the cycle for them to finally realize, okay, I think it's time to make a change here. But, my heart goes out to you, Dalton. I knew you were going through the ringer, especially with your channel being on hiatus. We'll just say hiatus for this point. But, I think Liam Cohen's going to do a great job there. It just depends on just if they can get a good draft piece together, if they can get just chemistry in the locker room to just feed on his ideas and just build that rapport that you need to just to have everything clicking in all the right directions. He's got a high ceiling, I think, but at the same time, you're really going to see what their mettle is when they get into the NFL. Can they wear multiple hats? Can they multitask? Are they willing to be more just hands-off approach and let some of the guys they hire do their job? With Cohen, I really think that, we're going to see what he can do. I think there's a great opportunity for him to really just show that he's ready for this opportunity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it'll be definitely exciting to see really the way he does things. I just know, no matter what, I know he's a good offensive mind. I know he's going to get BTJ the ball because that was a big issue last year with Doug Peterson going 2 or 3 quarters without even a target for Brian Thomas Jr. Not really sure what's going on there. A couple super chats here from Paul Wilson. Says, so excited for the Colts 4-win season. Ballard loves his guys. What do you think, Derek?
Well, I mean, we'll see how much he loves his guys, depending on how free agency goes and, how the draft goes and whatnot. I will say this, if it is a 4-win season, there's nothing better than to get Ballard out of here.
I'm telling you, man, if if you're going to go 7-10, you might as well go 3-14, right? Just bottom out.
Exactly. If you're not on the knocking the if you're not knocking on the door of the playoffs this season, then you might as well just tank it. I mean,
I'm telling you, like 7-10, like 8-9, I think are like the worst records because then
because you're right in the middle. You know,
Yeah.
it always sucks because then, like, especially for the Colts over the last few years, when you're in that spot and you're trying to trade, that kind of spot right there just isn't very appealing to a lot of teams because a lot of those teams that are right in front of you have a specific guy in mind that they want to get, and they're not willing to trade to get that spot.
Yeah, and you're drafting in the teens, and it's always like, okay, are we good? Okay, we got a big game this weekend. They don't win it. It's not a fun place to be.
Yeah.
Another $5 super chat. He's loving on the Colts today. He says, Derek, could you please rename your channel Colts to Bring the Mediocrity? But at least the Colts will sweep the Titans again. Bring the juice.
At least he had at least he was wise enough to, say that the Indianapolis Colts would sweep the Titans again. It's very wise by Paul there.
See, Paul, you just gave him the kiss of death, and now it's not going to happen.
I do kind of agree because now that Brian Thomas Jr. is in the AFC South, he's BTJ. Okay, so we can start thinking of some brand renames if you want. BTM, not bad. It's catchy. I think we can go with it, but we'll see. Thank you, Paul. You're the man. And also, by the way, guys, while you're in here, man, please drop your likes for us. We'll definitely appreciate it. Get the YouTube algorithm to push this thing out a little more because look, we're in off-season mode. Not a lot of people may know that, we're out here still making content. Look, the Roundtable Sports, they actually gave us the off-season schedule. And guys, we're going to be pushing videos and live streams all off-season, man. So stay tuned right here. Keep your notification bells on. It's going to be a lot of fun. So, we'll get into free agency stuff next year, but I want to talk about coaching because a lot of us have some stuff going on. And I know 713 Houston Sports, Ruben, it sucks, man. You guys said bye to your offensive coordinator. I know he was a fan favorite. Bobby Slowick is out. What was the reaction from Houston, from H-Town?
The days leading, we were like, is there a chance that Bobby Slowick is going to return? Right. We know that D'Amico, if you're a D'Amico guy, you kind of get the benefit of the doubt. But no, he fired him on a Friday. And man, I had to leave work. I said, let me go take a break. I went straight to the meat market and I told the girl, you know what, tonight we're going to have a party. And that's exactly what we did. The Houston Texans offense in 2024, guys, was just inconsistent and not good. CJ Stroud was the second most sacked quarterback in the NFL. You were a bottom 10 offense and, you made a move that I think you had to make. You cannot wait. You have CJ Stroud in year 3, and these are the prime development years for him. The guy you did get, Nick Caley, is very interesting. Spent his last 2 seasons with the Los Angeles Rams, but getting rid of Bobby Slowick, I think, was the step in the right direction for the Houston Texans. It just felt like a weight was lifted off your shoulders because D'Amico just told us right there that no, the stigma of if you're my boy, you're fine, it's gone. I want to win. So a lot of people were happy when the news broke that Bobby was gone.
So, what happened to the Texans offense this year? Because it was like Bobby Slowick last year. I mean, things look good. He was very close to being a head coach potentially. It was kind of like, hey, let's do it another year. Then just this year, and it wasn't even like the offense was inconsistent. I mean, it was just never good. And I know everybody was just waiting for it to finally get good. They had Pro Bowlers like Nico Collins and Joe Mixon out there, and they had pieces, but and the defense was legendary. But just the offense, what happened?
That's the great question. A lot of us don't know. Some fans say Bobby Slowick didn't have it, to begin with. They just caught lightning in the bottle year 1, but it was clear from the start that the offensive line, it just could not protect CJ Stroud to save his life, could not pick up a stunt to save their life. And you found out early week 2 that this offensive line was horrible. Then you saw stretches where CJ Stroud was facing a career high in pressure rate every single week. And we were asking Bobby, call the game like you have one of the worst offensive lines in the NFL. Didn't do that. Joe Mixon, he had 2 seasons with 50-plus catches. Week 18, Bobby Slowick had said, we went away from throwing the ball to Joe Mixon. How does that happen? There were just moments, well, to your credit, Dalton, just the offense didn't get going all season. And when you have a Stephon Diggs, a Tank Dell, a Nico Collins, a Joe Mixon, when we heard about this 5-headed monster, I mean, it was anything but that this year. And with Bobby Slowick, there was just no creativity with this offense whatsoever. No adjustments with this offense either. In the game against the Detroit Lions, when they were up like 23-0 and just go absolutely scoreless in quarters 3 and 4, he said that the Lions did nothing different than what they did in quarters 1 and 2. I just think that he still has time to grow in this league, but when you are in year 3 of a quarterback in CJ Stroud and you have a lot of 1 to 2 year deals on your contract, you don't have time to wait for people to, figure themselves out. And the Houston Texans got rid of them. It's just crazy how the NFL is really a year-to-year league. 1 year you're getting consideration for a head coaching job. The next year you get fired.
Yeah, it's a little crazy. So, you guys already have a new, OC, Nick Caley. I know Chip Kelly was kind of in the mix, but man, he got the bag.
$6 million. He's making more than D'Amico a year.
Yeah, he got the bag. So I don't know if your owner is stacked like that, but you guys got, what was it? Nick Caley is his name. Tell us a little bit about his background and what kind of inspired D'Amico to hire him.
Yeah, so, I'm glad you bring up D'Amico because according to reports, he was the one that led this search. But, he has a lot of connections to general manager Nick Caserio. They went to the same college together, John Carroll. Josh McCown went to John Carroll. He was on the Texans staff. Frank Ross went to John Carroll, and he was currently the special teams coordinator for the Houston Texans. From 2015 to 2022, Nick Caley spent time with the New England Patriots as a tight ends coach. 1 year, they also gave him the responsibility of fullbacks coach also. So that's where you see the big connection between him and general manager Nick Caserio. The last 2 years, though, like I mentioned earlier, he spent it with the Rams. And after the 2023 season, he was a tight end coach for Los Angeles, gets the opportunity, gets a job offer from New England to come back and be the OC with Gerard Mayo. He declines to stay 1 more year with Sean McVay to get the offense down. He gets awarded the pass game coordinator. And, now he's our offensive coordinator for the Houston Texans. So I think he's going to bring a Sean McVay, New England type of offense, to Houston. I don't know what that is quite yet, but a lot of people consider Nick Caley to be, one of the hot candidates in the OC market alongside of, guys like Chip Kelly.
Yeah. So, I mean, the Texans definitely had us kind of on the edge of our seats because, everyone was expecting Black Monday that he was going to be gone, Bobby Slowick, but they waited. They waited around
5 days.
Pulled the trigger at the end of the week. So that was it's weird how that goes down. It's like, don't you just know? Like, why are you hanging around? But I don't know. Maybe they're waiting for the budget to come in and realizes that they don't have Chip Kelly money, but they've got $2 million to spend. Let's see what we can get with that. So who really knows? So Derek, I know Gus Bradley, Jaguars legend, and now former Colts legend, is out the building. Tell us a little bit about what you guys got coming up on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, so obviously Gus Bradley was the scapegoat behind, what happened with the Indianapolis Colts this last year. More issues than just Gus Bradley, but certainly having the 29th best defense in the league is not the step in the right direction that you want to be taking. So, yeah, they got rid of Gus Bradley, and you bring in Lou Anarumo, the former Bengals DC, which I definitely think, looking at it now, I definitely am very intrigued by. I don't know what's going to happen with it, but all I know is Lou is a completely different DC than what the Indianapolis Colts have had mainly over the last 10 years. We had Matt Eberflus even before Gus Bradley, and even Matt Eberflus ran a majority cover 2 zone defense, and Gus just ran more cover 3 and was a little bit more conservative than even Matt Eberflus was. But Lou is a extremely aggressive DC and one that changes up his game plan for whoever he's facing. So I'm not sitting here going to say that I do believe this Indianapolis Colts defense will get better this next year. How much better? I don't know. I'm not going to be one of those guys that's going to say, oh, we're going to now all of a sudden have the chance to be a top 10 defense, because for a couple reasons. One, we don't have the talent right now in the places that Lou Anarumo needs to be able to make things better. And then, of course, we're talking about how there are certain guys, especially even on the defense, that supposedly there's a culture problem there. There's a couple guys that are being lazy and complacent. So I don't know what all is going to be done to fix those, but Lou Anarumo is not going to be the only guy that's going to be able to have to put something in to fix it. I am also happy with some of the defensive position coaches that he's brought in. Batcher from the Giants came over for the linebackers coaches, and Chris Hewitt, the Ravens secondaries coach, came over just this last week. So I'm very excited. I think that this is a defense that is going to start focusing on making the secondary the primary focus of the defense rather than the defensive line, which has been the exact opposite of Chris Ballard's MO, which is always building in the trenches. You're not going to be building in the trenches on the defensive line going forward. You're going to be focusing on solidifying that secondary and getting these guys the pieces that are going to try to be locked down rather than trying to get after the quarterback as much, even though the Colts don't do that very well already.
So I'm curious with the Colts, like what's the plan next year? Because like if I look at the Colts, like, they have, I feel like, a decent roster, but it's almost like the players that some of the best players that Chris Ballard have brought in are starting to get maybe a little old and maybe a little bit stale. Like you look at Jonathan Taylor, you look at Quentin Nelson, you look at like DeForest Buckner, like these guys are all great players, but it's like they've been around for a while and I don't know what that's bringing to them at this point. So is it almost like, are they going to try to spend some money in free agency, go put the chips all in and just hope that Anthony Richardson is the guy? And if he's not, just clean house of quarterback, head coach, GM? Like, what are you expecting really the offseason to look like for the Colts? And are you expecting them to really try to make a playoff push this 2025 season?
Well, as far as boosting the roster goes, there's a lot of issues that the Colts have and that need to be fixed. We don't really have a lot of the cap space to do it right now. We're going to have to restructure a few deals or cut some guys that, allow us to be able to get more of that cap space.
How do you guys have no cap space? Chris Ballard didn't spend money.
I know, which is crazy because we currently only have $29 million in cap space, which is, I don't even know where that ranks amongst everyone, but it's not super high, I don't think. So it because it's extending the guys that are already here. That's the problem. Is he extended DeForest Buckner in the offseason. He extended Zaire Franklin in the offseason. He gave Kenny Moore, Grover Stewart, Michael Pittman these big new contracts. And so, he spent money, but he spent money on the guys that were already here, and that's the problem. So
you broke.
Some guys have not lived up to the contracts that they have. So you're going to need to go out there. You're going to need to get more guys that are going to compete and guys that are going to, up the ante when it comes to, the linebacker, the secondary, the tight ends and stuff like that. Again, I expect him to, be a little bit more aggressive because he even said it this offseason that it was a mistake to run it back the way that I did. I thought that guys would step up, and I was wrong. That was the wrong choice to make, to think that, all these position groups were just going to, just get better. So he's going to have to be more aggressive. But like you said, it's going to have to come down to Anthony Richardson, though. If you're going to – Ballard can do whatever he wants with the roster, but if Anthony Richardson doesn't doesn't do better, then it's going to end up, just being another team that's still mediocre. Now, I will say he is working out with QB specialist Chris Hess, and he is the guy that Josh Allen praises for why Josh Allen has become who he's become. Obviously, he went from completing 53% of his passes his rookie year to 64% of his passes the next season because Chris has fixed his throwing motion. I am genuinely curious how much of that is actually going to help because, maybe it does help fix the accuracy issues we've seen from Anthony Richardson, especially in the short game and the intermediate game. If that can help fix it, then, this team might actually have a shot at competing with a lot of people next year.
Watch out, guys. Josh Allen might be in the AFC South, man. He's got the same offseason guy. So we'll have to wait and see, man.
Can't wait.
So, Mike, last we spoke to you, obviously, GM Ray Carthon got fired, but you guys made quick work, brought in Mike Borgonzi from the Kansas City Chiefs. I know if anybody's had a GM opening, he's always a name that pops up. He's kind of been the hot name out there, and it's not about if he was going to get a GM job, it was when, and he finally got one with the Tennessee Titans. So I guess let us know a little bit about who the Titans are kind of bringing in.
Well, simply put, Mike Borgonzi was like the guy behind the curtain in Kansas City, where you had Brett Veach front and center as the GM and Andy Reid also making some major decisions. Mike Borgonzi was also in that room helping categorize and basically strategizing with these guys in order to build a better team. And being there since 2009, the man basically has a pretty nice run of success. They've basically gone through some bad seasons to the current success that they've had right now. So the fact that Borgonzi looked at the open market with GM jobs and basically just said, this Tennessee job looks more intriguing than the Jets job. So definitely makes me feel pretty good, especially with what we had in place for him to consider it. You got some pieces to work with. You've got the first round pick in the draft. Chad Branker and him already have some familiarity, and they've been pretty in close contact, especially with these negotiations. So it was a perfect marriage. And the way it's set up right now, and I know this was a big confusion point for a lot of people, Borgonzi's basically going to be in charge of the team, the roster, the coaching, all of the whole shebang. Chad Branker's job is basically football operations. Everything that's not involving team stuff, that's what Brinker's job is. The only thing he's going to have to say over Borgonzi is potentially anything over in the draft category if they feel they can't agree on a certain player. But we're still months away from completing even a draft board at this point, so nothing to worry about. But regardless, Mike Borgonzi has had a string of success and really excited for the Titans to get him. Also added in 2 former GMs to help him stiffen up this staff just a little bit extra. You have Reggie McKenzie and you have Dave Ziegler, who both have had experience with the Raiders GM job. Now, of course, not a lot of success in that options, but both of them have had a pretty good streak of run, getting some good players in, especially from a draft perspective. So you have 2 guys that have that expertise that you're bringing into the room and help negotiate and just basically strategize what your roster is going to look like for the long-term future.
So I know everybody wants to know, man. I know during a season, everyone's battling for a number 1 pick, who's going to get it, but the Tennessee Titans got it. So what are the early thoughts? Are you guys going to take a quarterback there? Are you guys maybe going to try to trade back? Or are you guys going to try to go after potentially a quarterback in the free agency market? What are you feeling with the number 1 pick right now?
Well, let's just start with what we know, because that's basically what I can really give you the full gist of. What Chad Brinker basically came out and said, we're looking for a generational talent, and of course that's highly speculatory depending on who you want to put that tag on in this draft. Most people are going to go with Hunter. Most people are going to look at Abdul Carter, the edge from Penn State. Some are even saying, well, maybe he's potentially talking about one of these quarterbacks coming up. So at this moment right now, the Titans have only talked to one guy, and it's Shedeur Sanders. So that's all we can really gauge right now. It was a good meeting. They enjoy talking to him. They're really intrigued with him, and I expect them to talk to him a whole lot more and get to know him even better throughout the process. Still haven't talked to Cam Ward. They'll do that once the combine gets started up. And of course, they'll talk with Carter, and I expect them to talk with Hunter, especially. So at this very moment right now, we know who they have talked with. Gauging the interest.
Did they talk to Shedeur or Dion?
Well, they talked to Shedeur. Dion popped in the meeting, apparently. So Dion's going to Dion, and that's fine. Dion can do whatever he wants. Yeah. But at this point, it's like we already know the Titans have talked to Shedeur. The meeting went really well. And at this point, I really think the whole process is they're going to take their time. They're going to find out not only who's the best talent and who fits their scheme the best, whatever position it is, but also, and I think this is the most important thing that gets buried in these discussions, who fits the locker room culture, who's going to help excel it and grow it.
So Sanders is not going to be able to come into every meeting and save his little son. Okay. Just understand that, Michael.
Well, who said it was Sanders? I mean, it could be Cam Ward. I mean, like I said, it's a long process. We haven't even put out a board, Derek. Damn, let's back up, man. I know you want to talk about who's getting who, but chill.
So, Mike, you gave us a very, very good answer if you were a GM, but you're not a GM. You're a YouTuber. Tell me, what are the Titans doing, number one? What's your gut? What's your gut there?
My gut is right now you have to look at what Brian Callahan does within his system. You know, they're looking for a playmaker that has accuracy. They're looking for a guy that's going to come in, change the culture, and just have a leadership kind of attitude. Now, let's just go with the quarterback situation because I think it's an interesting topic. So let's just go with that because, boost ratings. Why not? So let's say quarterback-wise, you're looking for a guy that can do three things that are the key ingredient to being successful. You have to be accurate, you have to protect the ball, and you have to have, a good completion rating. And I think Shedeur Sanders fits the bill right there. So right now, gauging my interest, I'm going to go with Shedeur Sanders.
Wow, Shedeur Sanders to the AFC South. We're going to get some primetime games, guys. Sunday Night Football, Monday Night Football.
Derek, you can shake your head at me.
I will.
And I know you're going to, but I'm going to tell you this right now. That's how you sell out a stadium. Whether you like him or you hate him, he's going to be talked about, and that's what you want.
And then by week 17, everyone realizes what a mistake it was.
You say that now, but there's the other side of the coin, and I could be sitting here holding multiple Super Bowls in the next few years. So just take that into consideration.
Dude.
Which, by the way, whoever wins this Super Bowl, somebody's sending me a damn ring. Philly, Kansas City, you got at least two of our guys. You owe me at least a ring or a shirt.
Yeah, I know, right? I think if the Eagles win it, they owe the Giants something, right? Saquon Barkley's just been an absolute animal this season, but even the Texans almost got him. The Texans almost got Saquon.
That would have been great. Yeah. But I don't think he would have been this type of Saquon that he was.
No, you got to have the O-line, man. The O-line really makes it.
He would have had 1,400 yards instead of almost 2,000.
But yeah, it's been the same year, but it'll be exciting, man. It'll be exciting. I want to see really who ends up in the AFC South, what quarterback kind of comes here. So, with all that said, we can kind of go into maybe some offseason needs. I know, speaking as a Jaguars fan, if I'm looking at the Jaguars, I think the Jaguars' biggest positions of need right now, I think they need another cornerback because right now the Jaguars have Tyson Campbell, paid him some money last year, but I feel like Tyson Campbell's more of a cornerback too, and that's one reason why I've been mocking like Will Johnson to the Jaguars a lot because if they can get a true lockdown cornerback one, I think that'd be pretty big for the Jaguars to go to Michigan. So that's one that I'm looking at. Cornerback. They need 2 new safeties, so secondary is a big thing, but safety is not a bad need to have because you can get them pretty cheap in free agency and you can get them pretty late in the draft. So I imagine they spend a little bit of money getting that there. And then honestly, the interior of both the offensive line and defensive line, I think both of them needs work. I think the Jaguars are good at tackles. Anton Harrison's going into his 3rd year. He's a right tackle, 1st-round pick. And also they just re-signed left tackle Walker Little to a new pretty cheap deal. And I think he's actually a pretty solid tackle when he's actually healthy. But when you look at the Jags interior offensive line right now, the starters, Brandon Sheriff is old as shit. You have Mitch Morse at center, who's in his 30s. And you have left guard Ezra Cleveland, who they signed to a little minimal deal, but you don't have any homegrown talent. You don't have any guy that you really dedicated draft spots to. And I just think that with Liam Cohen coming in here, he's going to want to be able to run the ball. And I want to have an offensive line that dominates. Like, I want to be able to have an offensive line that comes up there and just opens up gaping holes for the running back, right? Like, I want to be able to have that. I don't want to have to only be able to run the ball when the passing game is going good, and the passing game has to open that up. Like, I want guys that can push some people, and they just haven't been able to do that enough. And then the interior of the defensive line too. They've been getting gashed in the run game which usually the Jaguars are pretty strong against the run, but it hasn't really been the case the last couple of years. So I'd like to really bring that identity back. So, those are kind of some of the biggest positions of need for the Jaguars. So, Ruben, with the Houston Texans going to this offseason, what are some of y'all's biggest positions of need?
Yeah, I think the two would be the interior offensive line, left guard or right guard. What are you going to do with Titus Howard? You moved him to left guard so that rookie Blake Fisher out of Notre Dame can get some opportunities at right tackle, and you saw him there in the postseason. So I think our tackles are set with Laramie Tunsil and Blake Fisher. I just don't know what happens with Titus Howard. And then, of course, on the, Shaq Mason, hopefully this is his last year in the NFL, just clearly showing signs of decline. Outside of that, wide receiver is a need for this Houston Texans team. Stephon Diggs is currently a free agent. Do you bring him back? I really don't know. He says he has a home in Houston, but the money has to make sense for me. You won't have Tank Dell next year, right? With the injury that he had, it's pretty bad. So you might have to get one in free agency. You might have to get one in the draft. With the hire yesterday to Nick Caley, a lot of fans are asking about Cooper Kupp, and it was in this chat also. You had to make all types of contract adjustments just to make it work in Houston. He's slated to make, I think, $20 million this year and $19 million next year. And he's going to be 32, 33 years old. I don't think the Houston Texans want to be paying that money. On the defensive side, you are pretty set. Maybe another safety. You're going to have one of the best young safeties going into the NFL next year. But I think the main priority, guys, is locking down Derek Stingley and making him a long-term Houston Texan. He said it on the Pivot podcast today that, he wants to end his career in Houston. Derek Stingley is, one of the better cornerbacks in this league, finally gets that all-pro season. He's finally healthy, deserves the bag. You definitely got to give it to him.
Yeah, so definitely some moves to be made, because I know the Texans, of course, they dominated the AFC South, but they got to get up in the tier of the the Chiefs and the Bills because it feels like in the AFC there was that tier of the Chiefs, Ravens, Bills, and there was kind of everybody else, and just trying to look to get up in that. But real quick, guys, this channel is powered by BetUS, and why don't we go ahead and look at some lines here? And we got Super Bowl odds over here. First of all, the easy one is that, look, the Kansas City Chiefs are 1-point favorites over the Eagles, which, we actually have a Super Bowl preview coming out, so we can look at that. But they have a bunch of stuff, man, like coin toss, heads, tails, who's going to win a coin toss, Super Bowl MVP winner. Look at they have all these Super Bowl odds right here, guys. If we go to a random one, Super Bowl 59 specials, any player to record 506 plus passing yards, plus 10,000. That'd be, I'm rooting for that one. That'd be fun. But yeah, that's
that would not happen.
Total times Jason Kelce will be shown during a Super Bowl, over under 2.5 times. So yeah, I gotta have plenty of Kelce stuff. You already know there's probably a bunch of Taylor Swift stuff on here. So yeah, check it out. I know for me, I really don't give a. It's not even that I don't give a crap. I really can't stand either of the teams in here. So, go to BetUS. You guys can use promo code YouTube150 to kind of play some props and just kind of have some fun with it. AJ Brown, fastest ball carry speed in Super Bowl 59, 17.5 miles an hour. I don't even know how that's recorded, but yeah, they got a bunch of stuff on here. So yeah, shout out to BetUS. Like I said, promo code YouTube150, which you guys a 150% deposit bonus, and we appreciate them, for powering these streams. So, next we'll go ahead and go on to you, Derek. What are some of the Colts biggest offseason needs?
Yeah, the number one obvious one is tight end. You really don't have any tight end production. Like I said before, the quarterback play had in part to do with it, but at the same time, our tight end group was the second least productive unit by percentage of targets as everyone else. So, I mean, they don't have a go-to guy. They don't have anyone that can be on the field for 90% of the snaps and make a huge difference in the game. So the tight end position, it needs to be overhauled. And it can't just be guys that, Ballard likes. He has to find the playmakers of the group. I think safety could be a good one. I think there's feelings that Julian Blackmon won't be back with the Indianapolis Colts this season. Even if he is, I still believe that there are some safeties and even cornerback for that matter, in free agency and in the draft early on that you can get a lot of great help out of those classes and, be able to solidify an otherwise extremely young secondary that needs some veteran experience and also some guys that, have that explosiveness to make big plays that we just really don't have right now. Outside of that, really, it's just more about depth. Running back depth behind Jonathan Taylor. We know Jonathan Taylor gets hurt every so often, and he's great when he's available. But obviously, when he's not available, you want to have a backup running back that can carry the workload while he's not there. And you want to have a running back that can take a few snaps away per game from Jonathan Taylor so that, he doesn't wear himself out. The Indianapolis Colts had that in 2023, and it worked really well having Zach Moss and Jonathan Taylor there. But, the Colts didn't fill that need very well. And, some depth at the linebacker position, I think would be very helpful. And, you might need a new linebacker at some point. I don't know if EJ Speed is going to be re-signing with this team. He, as far as I can tell, Colts fans hate him at this point. Colts fans really hate Zaire Franklin too, for that matter. So, our linebacker core, it's not a very liked position right now amongst Colts fans. So hoping to see some change there. So, outside of tight end and maybe the safety and cornerback room, you're just looking for depth everywhere else.
Derek, I can just feel in your voice, man. You wish Ballard was gone so bad.
So bad.
Because that's what makes it awkward is like you need somebody with a fresh set of eyes that have no ties to these guys to really come in here and clean stuff out, because the biggest fault of Ballard has been he's way too loyal to his guys and he won't go out there for other guys. So it's like, are you expecting him to go out there and make moves? And like, I don't know.
Well, him and guys like Defoe have all come out and have said that like there's going to be some hard conversations. And there's going to be some, contract talks, and there's going to be stuff where like, hey, you're going to have to redo how you do things with this team. Like he said, I've been too loyal to a fault to given. I thought that if I paid some of these guys, they would work harder, and amazingly enough, which I'm sure most people probably could have told you, that's never the case. Very rarely does somebody actually get their money and then try harder to do better in certain circumstances because they've already got their money. So, it feels it's nice to hear him acknowledge that he messed up, but, the way that he messed up, it's just kind of like, dude, listening to yourself, can you understand why fans are pissed off at the fact that you sound like you're the most uninformed dude in the world and yet you act so arrogant, like as if you know everything?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like he got a little bit humble because now he's like, yeah, I made some mistakes over here. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with the Colts. So Mike, man, for the Tennessee Titans, what do you see as really your biggest needs this offseason?
Really, it's the right side of the offensive line. And I mean, there's a lot of really good options the Titans can go with. I mean, obviously, you can go through the draft, find somebody that can lock that side down. You look at free agency, potentially you could go after a Ron Stanley from Baltimore. His contract's up. Ravens aren't going to have a lot of money to even put a franchise tag on him at this point. So intriguing matchup there, especially you could just kick J.C. Latham to the right tackle position, which is his natural playing position. Then that solidifies that position. Or if the Titans wanted to continue going through free agency, Trey Smith, right guard extraordinaire, and of course, Kansas City Chief. Interesting prospect right there. Another sign you could just strengthen your right guard position. Dylan Radins is a free agent, so seems like a natural fit. But regardless, if the Titans are going to go quarterback in this draft, and I'm about 90% today that they will, you got to solidify that offensive line the whole way. I mean, your left side looks good, and I think they'll get better, especially with Bill Callahan coaching them up. But you got to get the right side fixed.
So what's I guess this upcoming season, 2025, like, what are the expectations for the Titans? Because right now it feels like there's a major rebuild that's probably going to need to go on. Are you guys kind of feeling like that in Nashville?
Right now it's the transition period. The Titans are in an interesting spot. Getting the first round pick overall, there's multitude of options you can go with. There's blue chip players that you have a great opportunity that could actually change the dynamic of your franchise. And especially if you wanted to, there's a trade position. So I wouldn't trade any lower than 6 because I think that kind of knocks you out of contention to get one of those blue chip kind of players. I mean, even if the Titans ended up at 6 with the Raiders, I still think you get a nice little haul, and you could potentially draft Tetero McMillan from Arizona at wide receiver. So that's locking down another position the Titans could be looking at long term. But, regardless, I think they know they've got a couple years to try and get this thing in the right direction. New stadiums on the horizon, so you don't want to move into a new house with old baggage. So you're trying to clean house the best you can and get rid of a few things. So it's going to be interesting to see how everything plays out. My biggest thing is, can Brian Callahan take that next step? We've already seen what he can do with a bad roster. Let's see what we can do when we get him a quarterback that he potentially would like to coach and give him some pieces to play with and solidify this offensive line. And I mean, you've already got a fairly decent defense. Just add a few pieces to it and we'll see what happens. It's house money at this point. As much as Derek's depressed about everything being in mediocrity, we're just bad. The best thing about being bad is you're looking up and all you have to do is start climbing up.
I like that you said it because it kind of transitions into the next thing I want to ask because, we got a little bit of time left. I want to get a quick vibe check, temperature check. Like, how is everybody right now feeling about their franchise now that we're at the beginning of February? Obviously, coaching hires have happened. You guys have decided to keep people, let people go. You guys have replaced people. I know in Jacksonville, things are really good right now compared to where we thought it was going to be. We all thought it was going to be pretty much probably Balky and Robert Saleh, you know what I mean? But now we're sitting here with, Tony Baselli as executive vice president. We have Liam Cohen, the young offensive guy we've been wanting, and we have a GM opening, and they've pulled out a list of really good candidates. So I know right now, especially with how bad the 2024 season went by going 4-13, I know vibes are really, really good in Jacksonville right now. How about over in Houston, Ruben?
I mean, the vibes are good. They've been good, right? You feel like with this Houston Texans team, you got the defense. You got cornerstone pieces on it. Derek Stingley, Kamari Lassiter, Will Anderson Jr., Azeez Al-Shaair, and Danielle Hunter. On the offensive side, I mean, quarterback CJ Stroud, Nico Collins, Mixon, and Laramie Tunsil. So there's pieces on both the offense and the defense where you could win football games. You can make playoff runs. We just need this offense to get going. And hopefully with new OC Nick Caley, that's exactly what happens. Hopefully he brings his updated version of the Sean McVay system to Houston. And then this offense is firing on all cylinders. And with the defense that you have alongside of head coach D'Amico Ryans, who has shown that he can make these really great quarterbacks look silly, the vibes are high here in Houston. Hopefully next year we're talking about a deep playoff run and in a third AFC South title in a row.
Yeah, you guys can win the AFC South, but you guys got to reach the AFC Championship game, man. It's the monkey on the back. And before I asked about the Colts, we got Paul in here says, as a lifelong Colts fan, I feel like I could puke. That's how I'm feeling about the vibes. So I'm interested to hear from Derek. Derek, what are the vibes and Colts Nation right now.
Paul's a perfect example of the Colts fan base right now, but I'm not quite at that stage yet. Look, I'm 50-50 on whether or not this organization is heading in the right direction or not. I'm at a point where it's like, if you don't start turning around quickly, it's time to go wholesale. Like, you're just gonna fire everyone. You're gonna hand the team over to the daughters, and you're just gonna go ahead and start bringing in everybody new. It's a whole organizational reset at this point, because again, this whole organization is tied down to the same people: Jim Irsay, Chris Ballard, and Shane Steichen. Obviously, Shane Steichen hasn't been here as long, but again, from the top down, a lot of these people have been here for the same amount of time, and I'm just at a point where I don't know what's going to happen. I feel good about the steps that they're taking. I like the fact that Ballard said that he needs to rethink things. And obviously, I hope Anthony Richardson figures things out. I like the fact that he's working with Chris Hess to be able to fix that throwing motion and see what that can do to help improve his game. But I'm still very concerned. This is a team that, again, multiple players and anonymous players are saying that there are guys who are lazy. There are guys that are not doing the necessary work to win games. There are guys that are missing meetings. There are guys that from the top down, there's no direction to this team. And so I'm very concerned with how outspoken these players are about how dysfunctional this team is right now. And it's very concerning. And I don't know how it's going to get fixed, and I hope that this regime can figure it out. But I got to admit, it's going away very fast.
Interesting. So we'll end it with Mike. How are things over there in Nashville?
Here's the thing. I think the Tennessee Titans have finally admitted that there's a problem, and we're in the therapy stage of things. We're working through everything that's gone wrong the last few years.
Amy Adams.
What has not worked? We need to find out what we can do to get the thing on track and be productive and competitive. That's the first step. We've taken that. Now it comes down to three key components here. It comes to patience. We have to let the thing work out. We have to let the process play and not try and just fire people when things aren't working. We've already tried that, and it's ended badly. Second, we have to be a little bold. Mm-hmm. I expect us to take some chances in the next few years, and that's really going to be what makes the difference. Fortune favors the bold, and I think the Titans are really going to have to get out of their comfort zone if they want to move out of this process of run, pass, and try and get into the new age of football. Then it's time to get uncomfortable, because getting uncomfortable means self-improvement. And finally, it's all about just being present. Set the mood, set yourself up for success. And if the Titans can do this through the draft in the next couple of years and being a little bit not impatient in free agency, but spend on needs and not so much for just flash needs, I think they'll be okay. And if the Titans can do that, they'll go from nowhere to now here.
Ooh.
Bars?
Hey, you like to hear it, man. You like to hear it. Yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be fun to see how the AFC South shakes up, and really just a fun offseason, because I think there's a lot of team needs here. And, obviously we were all like last year, the AFC South, 3 teams with winning records, all this and that. And I think everybody underachieved a little bit. I mean, even the AFC South champions weren't the big juggernaut we were kind of, a lot of people were expecting. So lots of things happening. We got some coaching changes. I mean, everybody's had, I think, at least a coordinator change. I mean, so lots of stuff going on. But with all that said, guys, we're going to be here live on a lot of these Tuesdays, not every Tuesday, but most Tuesdays, I'd say. So definitely sit here and lock in on us. Drop a like on this stream. Also, guys, we have a Super Bowl preview coming out later this week. So that one will be definitely interesting to watch. And, with all that said, we want to give a big shout out to BetUS for powering this stream. This channel would not be possible without BetUS. So definitely go over there and support, the sponsor for allowing these streams to go on. We appreciate all you guys for being here. Duval.